Actually, okay, and we are live. Thank you, all those who are joining us on LinkedIn or Facebook or even on YouTube. We appreciate you being here with us today. Today, we're bringing you another live broadcast of the Nursing Home Podcast, the podcast that was created to give you the real information of what actually goes on in the nursing home space. And we're here to talk about issues that are maybe not spoken about or not spoken about as transparently. And that is exactly what we're here to do, and to bring you the guests that really help bring that unique perspective to you. So today we are going to talk about a very big problem that really does not get enough press, if you will, in the nursing home space and senior care, and specifically and generally in the healthcare space, and that's the staffing challenge. And in order to do that, I have with me the founder and president of the Gale app, and tell me if that's how we refer to the company, Tony Braswell. Tony, thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate it being online today, and I appreciate everything you're doing. It's very much needed.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, I would like to, right back at you. What you're doing is definitely very much needed as well. And so just, the one sentence, whether you like it or not, but the simplest way to explain your company is an Uber for staffing type of company. But even before we get there, tell us how you came into this world of nursing home staffing and how you took the leap, this new technology company that you're now running.
Well, I'll give you the quick rundown. I've been in this industry for 29 years, staffing nursing homes all over the country. And we did it the old-fashioned way, calling nurses one at a time. We called smiling and dialing, just calling one more nurse and beg them to go one more shift. And it's a 24-hour process. I did it for 24 hours a day, every day. And I did it for 25 years that way. And one day, and you got to understand, one day, 4 years ago, was a long time ago in technology. I'm in the office, and the average staffing company in America is about a $1.5 million company. And they have about 100 nurses that they call one at a time every day. And 4 years ago, my son was a freshman in college, and I'm sitting there, and I'm irritated. I'm tired at the end of the day. It's just me and one other guy in the company. And I get an email from Amazon. He just bought a bottle of ketchup. That's it, nothing else. And I was like, oh my God. And if it happened today, it'd be a normal day because Amazon comes here every single day. But 4 years ago, it kind of irritated me. I was like, oh my God, how much is that going to cost to have a bottle of ketchup? Not a case, not a 6-pack, but one bottle of ketchup delivered to his dorm room. So I called him up. I said, Logan, son, did you just buy a bottle of ketchup? He goes, yeah. I said, why? He goes, well, I need ketchup. I said, son, are you being silly? Nobody orders ketchup and have it delivered. My God. He goes, Dad, it's free delivery. I have it tomorrow. I don't have a car, remember? And I stood up looking at the phone, irritated that I said, this is going to be $80 for a bottle of ketchup. My other person who worked for me at the time looked at me and said, well, that was fun. I said, what? He goes, I just spent 45 minutes to get 2 people to go to work. I looked at the phone. I looked at him. I said, we're doing this wrong. I'm involved in this men's group at my church, and the next morning I went to it, and somebody asked me what was going on in my life, and I said, I'm calling nurses 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's all I do. And my son just bought a bottle of ketchup, and it's just crazy that they're going to deliver a bottle of ketchup to his house. And my background is actually computer science engineering. I designed computers for the first part of my life when I got out of college. And 2 of the guys in the group are IT guys, and they said, we can automate this. And I said, we sure can, and we did. And today, as of yesterday, we actually crossed 20,088 nurses using our technology. We are the Uber of healthcare staffing. We're in 34 states, and we're getting bigger every day. And we come to work every day trying to solve this problem. People are born without care. We're 1 million nurses short in the United States today, and that number is getting bigger every single day because nurses are getting burned out and quitting. Forget COVID. This is before COVID. COVID just exacerbated that problem. People are quitting. They're going to work for Walmart instead of we can't have this. We've got to have people taking care of our older population, or we're going to be old one day and no one's going to be there to take care of us. And then what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So that's how Gale came about. Came about in 2016. I've been doing this now going on 5 years, and we're just coming to work every day trying to solve this problem.
Wow. So, I mean, we could spend all day, analyzing the problem, trying to figure out the problem or solutions to, this tremendous nurse shortage, which you just described. And it's huge. And those who have operated facilities, or even if just administrative facility were involved in the staffing internally, we know how challenging it is when, we're ready to end the day and the 11 to 7 nurse just called out again. And we really want to fire them because maybe their performance ain't that great. But at the same time, we're so desperate, we're just going to call them in. And we all get that commandment from he who sits on high, which is usually the CEO or somebody, who says, thou shalt not use agency no matter what.
Right.
So how do you deal with that in your business when not branding yourself as an agency?
Well, a part of our job is to educate the facilities that we're not the bad guys. We're not here to hurt anybody. We're actually here to save them. So instead of saying, oh my God, no agency, they should actually say, thank God we have agency, and thank God there is a nurse coming, because if not, there's nobody coming. We're not here to hurt the facilities. That's why the name of our company is Gale Healthcare Solutions. We're not here. I mean, I could have named it Gale Healthcare Staffing, but that's not what we're doing. I don't staff anybody. I book about 1,000 people a day, and I don't book anybody. Agency is there to help them because they are going to have call-offs. The average nurse in America, the 44-year-old single female with 2 kids, she is going to have problems come up that she will need to take time off. Life takes care of things. And what, do you just go work short? That patient goes without care. The CEO of my company, his grandfather was in a nursing home in Georgia before we started staffing them. And he got his first meal one day at 3:00. That's not acceptable in America. But he did, and it wasn't that, it was just a bad day. It just happened. And that's not acceptable. It's not that they did it on purpose. They didn't do anything wrong. It was just a bad day. Well, we can't have that. We were talking, if this was nursery centers and there was preschool kids, everybody would be on nightly news 24 hours a day screaming, this is wrong. But for some reason, because elderly patients go without care, no one talks about it. My father was in a facility before he passed away. I've got a high school football coach. My school teacher I had a crush on in the 6th grade. She's in a facility today, and today she has dementia and doesn't know how to brush her own teeth. She has to have care. It's not acceptable to say, well, oh, she's old, it doesn't matter. It does matter. And we can't, what it is everybody always says when there's a problem, somebody needs to do something. Gale is trying to do something to change this industry, that no patient goes without care. And on top of that, no nurse should work short-staffed. It shouldn't be allowed. And what we say to people is, stop choosing to work short. And they go, I hate when you say that. Nobody chooses to work short. Yeah, you do, because you don't have to. Call Gale. With 20,000 nurses, you don't have to work short.
Ouch. So what you're pointing out is something that is rarely spoken about or even thought of. And I don't think we've come across this on the show, but we all pay lip service that we care for our senior population, our greatest generation. We have all sorts of fluffy names that we refer to them, that they sound really nice and as if we care about them. Another thing that we do also is that we refer to it as them and not us. Now, I used to remind my staff all the time, and those who've listened to the show know this. This is not them. This is us in a few years. Sometimes the staff of the nursing home come back years later as residents. Well, we're not immortal. We're all going to die, and if we're blessed, we'll live into old age. And it's very likely that we will need assistance for care, maybe a nursing home, maybe another setting. But at the end of the day, this is not of them. But your first point is even stronger. If the facts on the ground were known, and if people actually genuinely cared about an 85-year-old with dementia in a middle bed in a nursing home in any town in the United States of America, as much as we cared about the 2-year-old child that maybe now doesn't have care and no one there, and their care needs are very similar, unfortunately, right? But they're almost equally dependent. There would be an outcry, and unfortunately, we call a spade a spade. Our culture has taught us, or some of us, that is not as important. And those who are going ahead and solving this problem and caring enough about it, not because it's in the media, not because they have to, because they understand it's their duty and their privilege to do so. Those are the ones who kind of have their heads on straight, and that this should be the greatest generation. These are the people who caused what we live in now to exist, and that's a whole separate conversation. But bottom line is, what you're saying is that why do you choose to work short? Now, I can understand an operator getting pretty mad when you say that, like really mad, because we're working all day to try to come up with all sorts of solutions, and we're giving out bonuses and Starbucks cards and begging. And I've personally driven through the snow when it wasn't legal to do so.
Pick them up, drive them to work.
Back and forth all day, plowing, do whatever we got to do. We don't choose to work short, but what you're saying is, yeah, you are, because there are solutions. Now, maybe not as good, but go ahead.
So this is the thing. You're exactly right. Okay, the biggest thing is a couple of years ago, my 16-year-old son who worked for me asked me, said, "Dad, why don't the facilities just do what we do?" I mean, it's a simple thing. I'm hiring, 200 people a week. I go, "Well, son, they don't do what we do." He goes, "What are you talking about?" I go, "They're there in business to take care of residents. That's what they do 40 hours a day, is take care of those residents. We don't take care of residents. We're spending our time every moment hiring more staff. They don't have time. I've had nurses that want to go on staff at buildings that I staff their agency, and 2 months later, they still have not gotten hired because the hiring process is so outdated. And then eventually the nurse doesn't go on staff because they just couldn't get her hired because the facility is so busy every day, which they should be, taking care of that patient, that they just don't focus on hiring new staff, that's all we do, is hire staff. So it's like, why would they know how to solve the problem? No more than I would know how to run. I was telling somebody yesterday, I go to restaurants all the time, but I don't know how to run one. Facility operators, they're in the business of taking care of people every day. They're not necessarily a recruiting company to understand the recruiting. And another thing is, today, the flexibility of nurses, because they are single moms, the old working somebody 7 to 3 Monday through Friday are over. With Uber and Shipt and the whole gig economy, I might work Monday, Tuesday, Saturdays. That might be my full-time job. And somebody else might work Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Somebody might work Monday through Friday. But we're always looking for that person Monday through Friday. Okay, well, you might get 1 out of 100 that wants that Monday through Friday job, but it's really, I need you to work 40 hours a week. I don't really care what shifts during the week you work. And in the old days, you really couldn't do that because of the scheduling nightmares, a piece of paper and a pencil. Well, through technology now, we can have that person work. I just need you working 5 times a week, whenever you want to work consistently. So that is the continuity of care. But the facilities go, I need 10 people here, 7 to 3 every day, the same people. You're not going to get that again. Those days are over, and we're not going to go back to that.
Okay, so let's try this question a different way, because you got my brain churning here from your son's question. You're right. What you do and what a facility does is fundamentally differently, right? Your job, you're a staffing company, they provide care. They get that. But let's say you have some companies that have 50 centers, 100 centers, 500 centers, and they have a significant resources to allocate to solve this problem. They already are using resources to solve this problem unsuccessfully, and they're
and guess what they do? They keep coming in every day doing the same thing that's not working. And they think one day it's going to work. Well, no, one day 2 + 2 will never be 5. It will never work. If it doesn't work today, it's not going to work in the future.
That's true.
Gale, what we did was we took something that worked, and now we just exemplified it. The facilities don't. The name of our company, again, is Gale Healthcare Solutions. I actually want one day, because wouldn't it be great to wake up one day and every facility is fully staffed, every nurse is working fully staffed? My God, well, I'd be out of business. No, it wouldn't. There's so many other things we'd be doing, because that's what we have to do. It's not that we want to do that. We have to, for my CEO's grandfather, for my dad, for anybody we notice in the facility, we have to work to solve this problem. I will not go to bed today and say, well, it can't be. Well, actually, 3 times in 5 years, I've gone home and told my wife, this can't be done. This can't be done. Because I'm fighting the nurses and I'm fighting facilities that we're going to do things differently. Just the fact that facilities have call-offs. Well, we have call-offs. Well, what we did was, because I've got 20,000 nurses, I said, if you call off, you will be suspended. You will not work for 5 days. You can't do that. I had facilities tell me, you can't do that. I said, I am. And we did, and we do. And if a nurse calls off from our shift, we suspend them for 5 days. That means they're booked tomorrow double. We cancel that. We do not let people call out. Now, do I have call-offs? Every day. But we suspend that nurse for 5 days. Now, does that mean I'm inhuman? No, of course not. We'll have a nurse call me up and go, Tony, you do. I'm a cancer patient. I had my treatment yesterday. I don't feel bad. Oh my God. Okay, and we'll fix that. We override because we are human. But the problem is when our nurse calls off, there's nobody else coming. So it's like, okay, sweetie, don't take it if you're going to have your treatment today, because I can't have you calling off, because just like I need you staying home taking care of yourself because I'm a cancer patient. I can't have no one coming. And we sell that message every day. That's why we're doing this, because there's nobody else coming, sweetie. There's nobody else coming. When Gale's nurse calls off, that patient's not getting fed till 3 o'clock tomorrow. And we're not going to do that. And you know what? I just have, what we do every day, Gale, is remind the nurse, why did you become a nurse? You know, during COVID, it taught me a lot about human behavior. We had CNAs that make $12 an hour making $1,000 checks for staying home, because we're staffed all over the United States. And guess what? I still had 800 people every day go to work. Those people could have stayed home and got $1,000 checks because I had thousands of people that did. But those are true heroes that became a nurse because they're there to help people. They went to work during COVID in COVID facilities for $15 an hour when they could have stayed home and got a $1,000 unemployment check for staying home. Because they're nurses, they went to work taking care of people. That's why you become a nurse. You didn't become a nurse to get rich. You became a nurse because you like to help people. And that's what Gale's about. So what Gale is a marketplace that allows that nurse who wants to work whenever she wants to work facilities that need help. It's just a marketplace, no different than Craigslist, no different Uber, no different Amazon. We're just a marketplace that facilitates nurses and facilities to connect instantly. And then we pay them daily.
Got it.
And then we pay them daily. So I pay my nurses every single day, 7 days a week, 365. So if you work for me today, I will pay you today. Pretty big deal.
That is a huge deal, and especially like you mentioned earlier, like your average employee might be the single female 44-year-old mom. Getting paid every day is a big deal. You know,
it's a necessity. It's a necessity. It's not that they want it. And see, the thing about it is this. So if I would go work for your company today, when do I get my first full paycheck?
3 weeks down the road. It could be 2-3 weeks till you see any money.
I can't go that way. So what Gale does, Gale can work with any facility in America to say, look, you can hire that person. I want you to. And then we'll pay her for the next 3 weeks daily and then she can gradually work onto your payroll where she can work every 2 weeks. My question to you is, though, as a building, why do you pay your people every 2 weeks? And the only answer I can find is because that's just how we do it. And what I'm trying to tell everybody is you're going to change, or you're going to lose that employee, because that employee is going to go to work for Uber, going to go work for Shift, go work for Walmart at $12.50 an hour. Walmart pays people more frequently than every 2 weeks. So that nurse is not going to work for you anymore. Things have changed. So what we can do is we can partner with a building to pay their staff daily if they want to, at no cost to the building.
That is crazy. Why do you do that?
Has to be done. That's what it takes. I don't want to do it, just has to be done. That's what it takes.
I understand that the paying daily is a big deal, but you do it because that's what's necessary. But I know most agencies, when I've worked with an agency, we identify a nurse we want to keep. It's a big deal. You know, we're stealing them, and thou shall not hire from agency. And you have the opposite approach.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, listen, we're 1 million nurses short in the United States. All this is musical chairs for everybody. So if you steal my nurse, nobody's stealing anybody. I don't own these nurses. These people are, if that nurse wants to work at your building, maybe it's close to her house. Maybe she wants to work there. You know, it's not, we don't own these nurses. Nobody's stealing anybody. My God, when you say that out loud, it's kind of racist. You know, we shouldn't say that we're stealing bodies. Oh, well, they don't own them to start with. You know what I mean? So we should look at it as we're here because those people need care. And I don't care if it's my employee, your employee, let's just get somebody there to take care of that person, because it is going to be us, man. That's the whole thing about this. You know, I only have one fear in my life, and that is to end up in a facility with no care.
But what you just said and that policy that you have is the strongest indication that what you're saying is not lip service. Because there might be many people who will say, other agencies or other technology agency companies or different things, they'll say, yeah, that's what we do. But if you want to take someone who's working for us, no, we have an agreement that's signed that they can't work for the facilities unless they go through us. And then we charge 10 grand if you want to hire them or something like that. And I've paid that amount to agencies. And
But
many of
that
them have.
agency has 100 employees. I hired 182 last week.
So when you say hired means like you onboarded them, like a Uber driver onboarded.
Yep. So the thing about our nurses is every nurse that works for our company has every credential at all times. So she's been drug tested, she's been background checked, she's been online tested. Most facilities don't online test. You'd be surprised. I mean, most facilities, because I staff literally 34 states, a couple 5,000 buildings we staff. If you've got a license and you pass a drug test, they'll hire you on the spot. Okay, well, we don't do that because I don't want that person taking care of my dad. So it's hard to work for us. We've had 85,000 nurses apply with Gale in the last 4 years since we launched this thing. We've hired 20. Wow. 1 in 4 nurses get to work for our company. We make it hard for a reason. And people say, you can't do that. Yeah, we've done it. We're doing it every day. If you want to call out and be a problem, you're not working for Gale. Go work for somewhere else. But see, the problem is, like I was saying, is you're working for that small mom and pop agency that has 100 people. Don't take my staff. Take my staff. I mean, please, come on. I'm going to hire more. I mean, it's all good. I make money regardless. It's not like, oh my God, I'm going to go out of business if you take my nurse. I've got 20,088 people. And before we get off this call today, I'll hire more. We've got a staff right now of about 50 recruiters hiring people all day, every day. And I can promise you, before I get off this call, we'll have more people hired than we did when we started this call.
So let me ask you a question. I'm thinking something interesting. Would you offer a service? This is a business question, but also a nursing home question in general. Can you potentially, I mean, you have this monstrous machine that's churning, 24/7 of hiring nurses, filtering out ones that are not willing to step up to a certain level of responsibility, background checks. It's like a gold mine, and you're willing to even help a facility get onboarded, which means that if I'm an administrator, which I was, and I hired a nurse, and their concern is, I want to work for you, but I'm supposed to get paid whatever, my car payment's due, and I can't wait 3 weeks. And the facility says, well, we don't have the money, we can't afford it. And it might be true. Yeah. You'll actually help them, they'll work for you for 3 weeks and then transition and, smooth that over.
Yeah, so listen, I mean, we have to do a lot of different things to solve this problem. And that's what Gale's trying to do. One thing we're trying to do to the facilities is, look, again, like I was saying, in the old days, because I've been doing this for 29 years, you walk in a facility and they're using a clipboard and a piece of paper and they're filling in names you don't use pen, for God's sake, you use pencil because you're erasing names all day long. Gale will license our software for the buildings to use so they can staff their own staff. Okay. And then if they good, I hope they never use agency. But if they do, Gale's here to supplement that. That's all we're trying to do. We're trying to solve this problem. We actually come to work every day. Our motto is not to come to work to make money. Now, we make money, but that's a byproduct of what we're trying to do. And we're supposed to, because I'm spending a fortune hiring nurses. We're going to spend $12 million in the next 2 years hiring nurses, $12 million. Because it costs me the drug test. I have to front all the costs. Drug test, background check, recruiting costs, advertising costs. I'm going to spend $12 million in the next 2 years hiring nurses. Well, I got to make a profit to be able to afford that. Okay. So we want to work with facilities. That facilities saying, look, staff these people, staff them. We'll pay them. We'll work with you. How do you do that? Well, we do a lot of volume and it works. And I hope one day before I die, my last breath is this problem's been solved.
Wow. So there's
Hey, listen, just try me. Any facility you want to try me, reach out. We'll that's the way now, Gale Healthcare Solutions. Let us show you. We're here to help you. I mean,
so let's say a facility reaches out to you. A facility says, our goal is simply, we want you to staff our building.
Yep.
Not with agency. We want you to help us hire our own people. You'll help them out?
Absolutely, we will. Listen, there's a lot of times, like I was talking to a facility in Kansas a couple of weeks ago, and there's only like 5 buildings in that town, and they need 2 full-time nurses. I actually got a piece of paper right here. They need 2 full-time nurses right here. I was just talking to them. I said, well, you don't need 2 full-time people. What you need is 80 hours of care. Well, I did some research, and you have a dozen home health companies in that town. You had 5 other buildings in that town. I'm like, okay, between all that, I guarantee you I can find 80 hours of nursing care. It might be 3 or 4 people that work certain days of the week, right? They're wanting 2 full-time people. Okay, well, not going to happen. And it might one day, but today let's just get 80 hours of care consistently. That might be one person who works every Tuesday night, 11 to 7. That might be somebody who works a double Saturday. But let's get those same people so we can get continuity of care. That's okay. We know how to do that. But let's go out into the marketplace and all those companies and find people that would want to work. See, I can't create more nurses. I wish I could. But what I can do is get more nurses to work more shifts. So I can go to all this area and I can find 80 hours of care on a consistent basis. I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
But we need technology to do that. So that building should use our technology to book their staff, and then I can have 200 people picking up the shifts. Well, we want continuity of care. Well, I want $1 million. I'm not going to get it. You know what I mean? So it's like, okay, let's do what it takes to solve this problem and then work building a building. Because listen, if you build a building that's never short-staffed, you'll have to pick a litter of all the good people that want to work in that market. But if you've got the same building with the same problems as everybody else, then why do I care? You don't care. Nobody cares. And guess what? I'm calling out today. It doesn't have to be this way. Well, it does. No, it doesn't. It just doesn't. Well, maybe it does, and maybe I'm a fool for trying this. I just don't accept that this problem can't be solved. We're talking about driverless 18-wheelers. We're talking about driverless cars, and I'm just trying to get a nurse to show up 3 to 11 a day. Sounds pretty simple.
Right.
We're talking about drones delivering medicines and stuff, all kinds of cool things with technology. I'm just going to take 4.5 million nurses and register them on a technology platform, allow them to work whenever they want to work, and get paid the same day. Doesn't sound too hard to do, really. You can't look at the problem the same way and do the same thing that's not worked in 29 years and think all of a sudden today it's going to start working. I'm not going to bet anything on that.
Right, no, for sure. And you see over here one of the comments I put on the screen, but on the podcast they can't see it. But Marie Bates, who I know, thanks for chiming in, Marie, Director of Nurses. I wish more facilities would adopt a flexible staffing pattern. It really works. It does
work. It does work. Because listen,
work.
If you're a single mom, which unfortunately most of these nurses are, or single dads, for God's sakes, I've got childcare issues that pop up. I had one of the girls the other day. She got a phone call in the middle of the day. Her son just broke his leg. Well, she's not working for the next couple of days. Or what I see mostly, if a nurse is at work, everything's fine. Oh my gosh, she loves her job. She's been there for everything's great. Life's great. And then somebody comes to her about 1:30 today and goes, "Hey, Mary Smith, yeah, you got to stay and do a double." Betty called out. Well, I can't. My kid's getting off the school bus. Well, you're going to stay. Well, I can't. Well, no, you're gone. We don't have anybody else. Well, that's fine, but I can't stay today. I'll stay tomorrow because my mom can babysit tomorrow. But today I've got to leave on time because my kid. And then they get to arguing, and then they get fired. That nurse went to work today, and before 5 o'clock, she's already terminated because somebody else called out, and then they get everybody's just stressed out. Okay, well, what problem did that just solve? That actually just created a whole nother bigger problem. It should be, oh, you can't do it today. Okay, well, let's use Gale and get somebody else today, and you're still going to do a double tomorrow? Yeah, so now, over the day, 311 not being short-staffed, now you're short-staffed for 40 more hours. Listen, people, it ain't working. Let's change it. And then you know why? Because I don't want my daughter, I don't want my wife, I don't want my mom to be a nurse working short-staff every day. I'm going to say something, and I shouldn't say it, but I'm going to do it anyway. About a year ago, I'm in all these Facebook groups with nurses, okay? I don't ever talk. I just listen and read what they say. And a nurse made a post, and she said, who got to pee last night on 11 to 7 shift? Wow. 86 people responded. I read all 86 responses. And guess what? Nobody went to the bathroom. So I came into work next day, and I started asking my nurses, I said, do you get to pee at work? And everybody laughs, and nobody asked that, right? And I go, no, seriously. And then they go, no. I'm like, what? Oh my God. these nurses are they can't. They're not drinking water. They can't. I mean, it's just, listen, we've got to solve this problem. And the building that does, guess what? They get all the good staff. So it's like, okay, let's just fix the problem, and then we don't have the problem every day. But what's happening every day, we trip over the same, ripping the carpet, and every day and then we're like, okay, well, let's just put a rug over, I mean, let's fix the problem. But what happens is everybody comes into work. There's 1,000 other problems, and short staff is just one of them. So it's just a fire that keeps burning, and no one wants to put it out. And I'm not saying we can put this out. In America I live in, we can. And then people will want to be a nurse. They'll go to school. And
so that's what was getting me excited right now, because I know we spoke offline, and there's two problems here. One problem is there's an actual nursing shortage. There's just, if you add up all the numbers of nurses who can work and the number of hours needed, there's less nurses than hours needed. That's what problem number one. Problem number two is, even with the nurses that are willing and able to work, somehow the nursing homes cannot maintain a healthy census of staffing, and they're always struggling, spinning their wheels and trying new things, and nothing works. So your company has been extremely effective in problem number two. But what's getting me excited right now, and you just started saying, is that I genuinely think part of the reason why nurses don't want to work in nursing homes, not part of it, probably the biggest reason, is not the pay, is not the environment, it's not the workload. It is because, like what you said, they can't go to the bathroom for an 8-hour shift. They many times nurses come over to me if I'm walking the halls and like, can you please check, double check, triple check if the next nurse is coming in, because I cannot, absolutely not. This is the one time in 6 months I meet with my grandma, I'm going out, and this is important to me, and I cannot stay. And sure enough, the person doesn't show up, and we spend the rest of the day splitting a shift, which is also not good. Trying to get the 11 to 7 nurse coming early so that she can get to dessert, at this event that she's been for forever. How do you think she's going to care for the patients the next day? Not in a malicious way, but she's upset, and she should be. It's not fair. It should not happen. But by changing their environment and having a more flexible staffing pattern, and having it done in a way where nurses actually can choose. Many times, every time I go in an Uber, I speak to the driver about what it's like to be an Uber driver. There was a point once where I considered doing it just to make an extra few bucks. And there's the flexibility, have the immediate payment, and I go when I want to go. I don't want to work. I just shut off the app. Now, once you're in, pick up a shift by in the facility, you gotta show up. Obviously, there's a level of responsibility. Right. Yeah, but at the end of the day, it completely changes the dynamic of the work environment.
This is happening, people, and like I tell everybody, look, you don't have to be the first building to use Gale. Just don't be the last. It's coming. It's happening. It's like, you know what? I've been doing this for so long. I remember when electronic medical records came about, because everybody was using paper pencil. And I had nurses quit because they didn't want to learn the computer systems. And I used to say, because I have a computer background, I said, guys, this is not going away. You better learn it. Take classes. Let me help you. And I had nurses that quit because they didn't want to learn the computer systems. Electronic medical records did not go away. The Gale model of staffing is not going away. The daily pace of staffing is not going away. So embrace it. Be the first ones to help us. I had a building when we first started 5 years ago. She called me up. She said, Tony, can we meet? I said, sure. I drove over to the building. I knew what was happening. She goes, can we talk about this Gale app? I said, yes, ma'am. She goes, do we have to use it? I said, no, ma'am, you don't. And she goes, oh, my God. Okay, wow, great. That went better than I thought. I said, oh, okay, good. And we talked for about 45 minutes about everything. And then she handed me this piece of paper, about 100 open shifts. And she goes, can you start working on these? I said, oh, no, ma'am. She goes, why? I said, you said you're not going to use the app. She goes, you said I didn't have to. You don't have to. She goes, but I said, but if you want me to fill these shifts, you have to use the app. She goes, oh, well, you know what I meant. I said, well, let me ask you a question. What's the problem with the app? We don't get all our shifts filled. I said, sweetie, I've staffed this building for 20 years. You've never gotten all your shifts filled. I literally have staffed that building for 20 years. Wow. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, if you call me and ask me for a nurse 311, do you care if I open the door and yell at them, hey, Barbara, do you want to work 311? Do you care? Do you care if I text them? Do you care if I write them a letter? Hey, Barbara, do you want to work Saturday? Check one, yes and no, and mail it to them? Do you care if I email them? Do you care if I call them? Do you care? Why do you care how I communicate with the nurse? Well, I don't. Well, at the time, I only had 450 nurses in my system. And I'm just like, well, I can only manage 100 people. So what I've got to do is go back and fire 300 nurses. But you just said you're not getting all your shifts filled. So what I need to do is go back to work and hire another 300 nurses, not fire 300 nurses, because it seems like we need more nurses, not less nurses. She goes, you're right. I said, so why do you care if I page, text, email, how I communicate? This is just technology. No different if I paid somebody with a pager. It's just a new form of paging somebody. It's a new form of communication. I remember staffing with no cell phones. We didn't even have a cell phone. I didn't have one. Nobody had one. We had to roll of quarters and had to find a payphone and call people, for God's sake. That's how much I know. I remember when we got answer machines. Oh, that was a big deal. I remember when we didn't have call waiting. That was a big deal. So this is just another next form of no different than call waiting, for God's sakes, right? What I'm saying is this. Technology is changing. Embrace it. Just like we did answer machines and emails. An app technology is just the next staff. It's not the competitor. You're not short staffed because of my agency is here. You're not short staffed because I created Gale. You're short staffed for 1,000 reasons. Let's address them one at a time, and your building won't have to be. That's what I'm saying. Stop choosing to work short. You do not have to.
Awesome. I'm just seeing the time here, that the time is flying here while we're having this conversation. If we want to just kind of wrap things up a little bit, let's talk about moving forward. So obviously you guys are doing an awesome job embracing this technology. You have 20,000 plus employees working for you. So obviously there are people who are embracing the model and it's working well for them. And like we had a comment earlier that there are some facilities that are trying to have some of the elements. I mean, you really have you have the Grand Slam system, even some of the elements, some more flexible staffing. Some facilities are starting to adopt, and this is something which is so unique to staffing agencies, which you're not, because you're a healthcare solution company, but
right.
You're actually helping them solve their problems internally, even if it means they're not using your staff, and you're happy to do so. Where do you where do you think the industry is going now as a whole? Like, what do you think it's going to look like 10 years down the road?
Well, I can tell you exactly what happened. Okay, so this is what I was on a phone call with the federal government about 6 weeks ago, and this is what they're saying, and this is true, and I see it all around me. In the next 7 to 8 years, it's going to be a switch in our whole economy, and it's going to go right now. They call it W-2 economy, and in the next 7 to 8 years, it's going to switch, and they're projecting 87 million workers will be in a gig economy. And then there'll be more people in the gig economy than a W-2 employees. That means you get paid every 2 weeks. If you do the math, that's 34,000 people every day are going to switch from working Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, because that's where I have to go to working whenever I want to work, as long as I get my hours in and get paid when I want to get paid. It's happening. That's what I'm saying. Do not be the last person to do this. It's like, okay, we offered health insurance. Well, now everybody has health insurance. We give you. It's just, this is going to be the next benefit that's coming, just like 2 weeks vacation was 100 years ago. No one got it. Now everybody gets it. It's a given. Do you have dental insurance? Don't have dental. It's just, this is the next progression. In the next 7 to 8 years, more people will be working when they want to work compared to when you will work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. Well, I can't. Okay. Well, and also in the healthcare industry, you have a lot of people in school. Well, I've got classes, I got exams. I will work this week 40 hours. I just can't do it because I've got school. I'll do a double Saturday and Sunday this week because next week after exam. We have to have that flexibility. The only way you can do that is through technology. Okay, technology. Like you said, that building that has, the owner who owns all these buildings, a lot of times they have multiple buildings in the market. Okay, let's share technology between buildings and work up. And you can coordinate all this through technology. Trying to do it manually, you can manage 100 people. I did it. You can't manage 20,088 people manually. I can't manage 400 people manually. You can through technology. My technology right now, I could handle 200,000 people instead of 20,000 people. That's what the buildings have to look at the problem and say, okay, let's look at the problem differently. And there's a different answer. The answer is yes. And what I would like for everybody to do is find out. Contact Gale. Let us help you. Every building is going to be a little different. Some buildings are going to need a lot of outside aid. Sometimes they don't. Maybe it's just a matter of let's get daily pay in all these buildings. It's coming, because if not, you're going to lose your employees to Uber. You're going to lose your employees to, now what's going to happen? Who's going to take care of anybody? Now what? Robots? Robots are going to take care of my father. My God. So we have to save this industry. It's not my building against your building. No, it's about the industry against Walmart, the industry against Uber, Shift. People, this is not as hard as we make it. It's just we're not focused on the same solution. And this is really black and white, problem solution. The problem is, okay, think about it this way, okay? And because I can do this all day. The problem is this. We have to get people working more. I can't create more. Now, that's another problem we can solve. So let's get more people working more shifts. And I can do that with technology and daily pay. And I can only do daily pay through technology. This all goes by technology. And let that nurse work 1 day a week every Saturday, let her. Okay, great. Hey, God bless you. Maybe you should go to 2 or 3 days a week. But that's not, well, we don't want to hire you because I'm looking for somebody full time. Okay, maybe that is full time for her now, right now, for the next quarter, next 3 or 4 weeks. And she loves it because you've got a great work environment. She never works short staff, and maybe she starts working more often. Right now, the building goes, we don't want you. We're going to keep looking for somebody full time. Good luck. Because you've been looking for somebody full time for the last 2 or 3 years. It's not happened. Why is it going to happen next week? It's not. People, let's fix this. You know what I mean?
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
this is really fascinating. It's a refreshing new outlook to a very old industry problem. And you're right, we keep on trying to resolve it in the same ways that have never worked in the past. And some things
They say, yeah, I think it was Einstein or somebody says a fool does the same thing, expects a different result. And that's what's happening right now. We're doing the same thing and thinking one day it's going to come together. No, this is it. This is the solution for what we've been doing. It doesn't work. It's never going to work. So let's try something else. Maybe this won't work. Call me in 5 years, but at least we're going to try to do something differently. And right now it's working. So we're just going to double down on this. So.
Yeah. That's the definition of insanity, right? Is when you're trying to get a different result from the same input. And the other point that you brought up also is that, just to be clear, that the fact that the economy is switching to a gig economy doesn't mean everyone's opening up their own Gale app and their own Walmart and their own Target. It means the employees that are making the middle class, or call it whatever you want, the people who are working for other people, they don't want to run their own business. They want to earn money by providing a service, but instead of getting paid, every 2 weeks on a W-2, I'll work when I want. And I've spoken to people who work this way. And you know what? I'm one of them, and and I'm trying to grow this business more to where you guys are. But the point is, as a driver, they might drive 12 hours a day, even though their old job they only work 6 hours a day. But they love every second of it because they're driving in neighborhoods that they like to. They're meeting different people. A lot of them are building businesses in the car. A lot of them are they're keeping track of passengers, and they're doing stuff. They're writing their own script. There's no rule that you're brought into this world and then you have to fit into a slot, because the slots are not it's not comfortable. Anyway, all right, we could go on forever, but we can't. So let's just, before we wrap up, if people want to learn more about you or specifically about the company, if they want to sign up, or where's the best place to send them to learn more?
Well, I go to our website. I mean, please reach out to me, Tony Braswell at usegale.com. Gale, we're all over the internet. We're everywhere. I mean, we're easy to find. Trust me. That's how nurses come to us every day. Try us. Find out if I can deliver or not. We can. I'm not a magician. I'm not going to come in tomorrow and staff you 100%. Some buildings we do. Most of the time, it takes a few weeks to get a good staff of people. There's a lot behind the scenes that has to happen, but we're here to help your building be 100% staffed, so your patients never go without care and your staff never works short. That's what we all should be working towards. And what that allows you to do now is focus on giving good care to your building and not sitting there playing a house of cards of staffing every day. That's what's happening every day. And what a waste of energy is happening every day.
Yeah, how many DONs, Marie, if you're still listening, you might be able to relate to this, spend the bulk of their day staffing?
Well, let me just tell you. So I had a phone call one time when we first started it. That same DON that said that she has to use Gale, that uses it every day, and I'm not going to tell you how much she uses. It's kind of crazy. But anyway, she called me one Sunday at 11:01. I know that because we're on the way to church, and my wife's yelling because we're running late. And she goes, the state, she called my cell phone. She said, the state just walked in and we did everybody's TB test that's been here the last 90 days on a Sunday morning. I said, it's on your phone, on your phone. You have everybody's information on your phone at all times. And she goes, oh my God. And she hung up. I never heard another word from her. Because every credential for every person is on your cell phone at all times. I mean,
Wow.
that's a game changer.
Yeah,
you can't work. You can't work if your TB test is expired. You can't work. So it's like, okay, so it's just how it works.
Here we go. So just we have a response here because I mentioned Marie before. I say how much of her time is spent staffing hours every day, full-time plus. It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really the truth. But anyways, wrapping this up, thank you so much, Tony, for coming on the show. I mean, that was really...
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let me share Gale.
Okay, so we could go to usegale.com. Is that the website?
Usegale.com. And we said use Gale. We want you to use Gale because now what happens is people go, why don't you use Gale? So it's use Gale, Gale, usegale.com.
Usegale.com.
Yeah.
And as Tony said, don't choose to work short. And yes, it's a choice. It's a difficult choice, but don't choose to do so. Right. So again, thank you, Tony, for coming on the Nursing Home Podcast. I really appreciate everything that you've shared. For those who are listening now for the first time, or just a reminder, you might see on the bottom of your screen as well. You can see this podcast will be available soon on the Nursing Home Podcast at thenursinghomepodcast.com, as well as all of our past episodes are there. So this is actually episode number 51. So last time was the Big 50. That was Eric who checked in before. This is the Big 51, and you're taking us on to the second half of our, of our first 100. So thank you again, Tony. It's been a pleasure.
My pleasure.